this out.
All right, welcome to Lunch Break with ATI. My name's Brad Osborne, but I've got two special guests, and I hope you get to see them in person this Saturday at the Payne and Mencius Palladium. Coming to us from the Carmel Symphony Orchestra, I have Maestro Kelly Kuo here, and I have concertmaster Davis Brooks. And these gentlemen are going to bring a production to you this weekend that is off the charts. And Kelly, if you tell us a little bit about what people can expect on Saturday night.
Absolutely. So this is a program that's been titled Nordic Nights because there are two composers, but one in particular, Jan Sibelius, who's a Finnish composer and probably the most famous, and deservedly so, most famous composer of Scandinavia. Mm-hmm. And we have two pieces of his. One is the Monumental Symphony No. 2, as well as his Karelia Suite that bookend our concert. And in between, we have a piece that a living composer, Thomas Addis, wrote that is an homage to Sibelius, and it's simply called Air. And our concertmaster Davis will be playing the solo part and plays beautifully. We've had one rehearsal so far, and it's just one of those programs that if you want to get into the psyche of this composer, this is it for you.
I have, as I mentioned earlier, I got a chance to hear on YouTube somebody else's production. It was the Paris Orchestra. And wow, it's like how many musicians and different instruments is this thing bringing together?
Well, the Symphony No. 2 involves your full symphonic orchestra. So beyond this full string section, we have our double winds, we have four horns, we have 3 trumpets, 3 trombones, tuba, timpani. It's very, very symphonic. It will fill the stage. But the piece that Davis is playing, we take away all but 2 horns in the brass section. We add percussion instruments, we add a harp, and we add a piano, and they create this sound world which is so unlike anything else in the program, but yet equally beautiful, and plays on sort of a structural element that Sibelius was famous for in his later part of his life, and takes that and creates a new piece.
When you say a structural element, what does that mean to you?
Well, like for example, Sibelius liked to take a theme or a motive. It could be as little as like 3 notes, right? It could be a rising theme, mm-hmm. 3 notes that rise, simple as that. And all of a sudden he takes that and expands on it and turns all of the structure of this piece based upon these 3 notes. He might reverse it, might invert it, might compress it, may expand it, and then this passes around to different parts of the orchestra, and he has a way of just letting this develop on its own time, very spatially, until it occupies a larger structure.
Okay, and I could sense that as I was listening last night, and I can't wait to be totally enveloped at the Palladium this weekend, where with what I heard last night, I can imagine how incredible this spatial sound is going to be to me.
It's very, very famous as far as a piece is concerned, for good reason. It resonates with so many people. Even if you don't know about his compositional technique, you can recognize that there are themes that mean something.
Right.
There are themes that overlap with each other. You might recognize one theme here. Oh yeah, I recognize it comes back here. And another instrument plays it. And yet there might be another theme I heard. All of a sudden they're together and sandwiched on top of each other, and becomes like a conversation, or in this particular case, a convention. We have many people with different voices trying to say the same thing at different times or at the same time, and it's one of those things that it's very complex, but at the same time we are very complex as human beings, and so we can relate to that.
Davis, with Air, an homage to Sibelius, what's going through your mind outside of just making sure it's perfect, but what else do you feel the of certain beauty of the environment? What is it that you're working through at the time as you're multi-processing?
I think one of the very interesting things in playing music that's new is that there's no tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always gravitated toward new music, partly because at times I loved the traditions, and there are other times that I felt like they were a burden
Mm-hmm.
in a way. And so the opportunity to play something and have some degree of originality, whether it's right or wrong, we don't know yet. And time helps a piece gather its momentum.
Mm-hmm.
But this is part of it. And for every violinist or orchestra that plays this piece, it's part of the building of a tradition. And I find that really exciting and creative.
Mm-hmm.
I've been always fascinated by, I remember being in college and fascinated by such topics like, let's talk about Scandinavian music and contrasting it with maybe Italian music.
Oh.
Different parts of the world, different climates, different lengths of day.
Mm-hmm.
All these factors that influence composers like Vivaldi or Sibelius. And how does that transfer in some way? It's always been interesting to me, like what attributes of a society are inherent in the music of a composer from that area.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are moments in the Sibelius and in the Odyssey also that I like the title of the title Nordic Nights,
Mm-hmm.
because I see a horizon with the sun coming up, but also a calmness.
Mm-hmm.
The Odyssey, I think, has tremendous calm. It's kind of, as you were saying, kind of a soundscape of a way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was as I've been analyzing the piece, I've been trying to figure out what is it a combination of. I mean, it has aspects of minimalism to me. It has aspects of romanticism in some forms. It certainly has impressionistic colors. I mean, I was trying to think of what composers might have influenced Odyssey. And I thought Lou Harrison, the
Mm-hmm.
American composer, the gamelan music, somehow he's listened to that probably. Mm-hmm. He's listened to Parrot. All these, it's kind of fun to try to figure out where did this person originate these ideas. I think that would be kind of one of the interesting parts of being a composer.
Mm-hmm.
What do I take from here? What do I take from here? What do I love? What do I want to avoid? I think Odyssey is interesting too. I don't know a lot of his music, to be fair, but I did travel to New York to hear his opera at the Met, The Exterminating Angel, and I thought it was one of the most incredible things I had ever experienced in an audience. Now, this piece on Saturday is very different than that. It's very different. Again, going back to a sound stage. Instead of having the incredible virtuoso style singing that's in his operas, this is more or less colors to me. I mean, I hear it that way. What do you think?
I think the virtuosity is one for connoisseurs, where, as you told me yesterday, it's basically vibrating tone for 13 minutes straight. It's a control of tone and an exploration of tone and color that's sustained over a long period of time. There's no break.
Mm-hmm.
There
I
is
was
no
totally
break.
amazed at that.
And to maintain that level of intensity and beauty for that long period of time is its own virtuosity, I think.
Yeah.
Right? You don't get the fireworks of fast notes, and that's not what this piece is about at all. In fact, when you talk about minimalism, what Davis is talking about, there's a repetition effect.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might translate it more to meditation, what you might experience during meditation, whereas you hear gongs, and if you're having a massage on the table and you close your eyes, this might be a type of piece that could put you into an embracive mode, accepting mode of existence, where you are just surrounded by beauty and letting that just come over you. Someone described this piece as like water wheels, and seeing multiple water wheels moving at their own pace, different directions, all at the same time. Because you might have an ascending line for the violin, and it followed by a descending line with the orchestra at the same time. And there's patience in this piece. It's about, there's no hurry at all. And if you let yourself get into that world of peace, which at this time of day and in this world, I think is something we all really need to be able to absorb in our lives and to find a way of making more of that. So I think that's what this piece means to me.
Incredible. Well, as I mentioned, when I listened last night, I took the title, search, go to, YouTube, and I had the opportunity to listen. And I started with a big piece because that was going to tell the big story. Then I did the smaller one, and then the one that Otis Air that we were just talking about, and I got up from my computer, and it's like I felt so relaxed. I couldn't believe that. Oh man, I think I'm ready to go to bed now. This is really, really great. And yes, I think I'll use that piece in my truck when I want to take a nice little break and kind of get away from the world.
Well, it might be a silly thing to say, but the audience could be the type of piece where you sit in the audience and you close your eyes.
Yeah.
And you experience, this is happening now. We're not in a hurry. We're not going to think about extraneous things going on in the world, in our lives. We're going to be present right now and have this experience. I think I agree. It can, hopefully, it will be a positive thing for people.
That's
like
what I would have expected, Davis. But when we come back to the Symphony Number 2, how do you think? Yeah, obviously we all have different ways of processing, but for somebody that is listening right now, hasn't done a lot of Carmel Symphony Orchestra, doesn't have a lot of that classical music background, when they come and they're seated at the Palladium, what's your best recommendation on how to enjoy it? What to follow? So that they could be immersed in the multitudes of different sounds and flavors that we have right there.
So the one thing that our current generation of audiences have at their disposal is access to movies and access to videos, much more in a way that in the past people had books in their imagination, right?
Yes.
Now, visual imagery is something that is almost impossible not to think about for this generation, right? And when you ask them to think about frozen tundras or very, very frigid temperatures, people can automatically conjure that. Whereas back in time, unless you lived there, it was really hard to imagine. So composers actually had to put that on page and then convey that. And so I think the audiences, I would ask them to think about what it might be like to live in this area of where the winter times are so cold, but also beautiful in their own way. The sharpness of temperature, the sharpness of tundra is very, very active in there. At the same time, it's not all about cold temperatures, right?
Right.
But at the same time, if you understand the context of which this piece was written in 1901, 1902, and you realize that it was written at a time when Finland was occupied by Russia, and there was a very active component of the Finnish community and culture that was against the Russian occupation. And Sibelius, who had already written his very successful Symphony Number 1, was already the poster boy for resistance in the Finnish culture through his music.
Incredible.
And even though Sibelius will be the first one to tell you that there was no program associated with his piece, it's not like I composed it, this is us fighting the Russians. He would say there's nothing like that in this piece. But at the same time, there's something innately there in the music that represents that for a lot of people. And if you take that journey from beginning to end, and you realize at the end of this fourth movement, the enthusiasm and the hope that this theme expresses, if you imagine being the people living, the Finnish people living in that country, experiencing their lives under occupation, and what this music could mean for them, you know, it's sort of like, if you don't understand that, how can you play that theme in the same way? You can play it musically, you can play it with a beautiful sound, but if you understand that this is the internal hope that you have against oppression, and if you could sing it from the mountaintops without worry of being disappearing the next day, how would you sing it?
But all out.
What struck me last night, it was a kind of original idea for me at the moment, was that in its own way, maybe the first three movements are pickups to the start of the fourth movement. Now, that's a stretch, because each movement has its own integrity, et cetera, but that's the way it struck me last night in rehearsal, that we're traveling, we're going here, we're looking at this part of the world, this part, and all of a sudden, what satisfaction comes with those 6 notes there. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why I think probably everybody who's in the orchestra has a warm feeling for this. It's not only cold, it's the hearth. It's the hearth that's in the cold climate, maybe. I mean, we're making these things up, I realize, but projecting. But to me, I'm not afraid of those fantasies, because they help me interpret. They help my enjoyment.
And I pictured a crackling fire in the fireplace too, and I just loved it. In fact, to hear in number 2, it's further what inspired me to go back to the top and hear the first 2. So anyway, folks, you're going to have an opportunity on Saturday night. The Carmel Symphony Orchestra is presenting Nordic Nights, and we've had an opportunity to get a little bit of a backdrop of the art behind the music, which is absolutely incredible. I hope to join you on Saturday night. The number for the Fifth Third box office is 317-843-3800. Carmel Symphony Orchestra has many professional musicians who are so passionate about what they're doing. This is going to be an incredible evening, and the insight that we've had a chance to learn from Kelly and Davis has been incredible. Thank you so much for being with us. Hey, you know, I got to remind you, this is Lunch Break with ATI, Actors Theater of Indiana, and our next production is April 24th. We're bringing you Sunset Boulevard. It's going to be fun. The music is terrific. The story is awesome, and you're going to see a romance and appreciation that you've been hoping for this time of year. So it's a new start for a lot of things, and so we thank you so much for joining us, Kelly and Davis. So great to be with you.
Thank you.
I'll see you Saturday night.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Please
having
come.
us.